Hi, Heathens.
Good morning, heathen.
Dude, it's been so nice in Michigan. We're getting like a little warm spell. Like today is supposed to be like, what, almost 55 or something. And it's been so lovely.
I don't like these teases though. I
It's,
am an enduring kind of girl. I will endure anything you want me to do. The problem is like when I'm done, I'm done. And this is why I don't like these little breaks because I'm like, I still have to endure it. So I can't enjoy this
I
for
did
me.
see a Midwest post the other day where it's like, this is where you are. And it's like fake spring. And then it's
Yeah,
second
yeah.
winter. And then it's like fake something. And then it's third winter. And then it's pollination season. It was really funny because I was like, yeah, that's so accurate. Because it
Well,
is.
and then we also always get that one last snowstorm, like the end of April, maybe even early May. Like you never know when it's coming. It's like the uncle that's going to just stop by and eat all your food. It's just going to come in and like, listen, fuckers, like
Yeah, that's so accurate. The crazy uncle that just stops at whatever to eat your food. Accurate. Yeah, it's been nice though. I did miss the sun. I appreciate when the sun leaves for a while and it's gray and I like the gray. I like the rain, I like the snow. But then the sun comes back and it's like just sitting. I feel like a cat where like I just want to be sitting on the carpet in the warmth of the sun,
with
just
my
like
belly exposed.
yes, with my belly exposed, my arms raised, and just like eyes closed with a little smile on my face. I'm like, cats know how to live, dude.
Dude, they have mastered it.
Yeah, they got life down to a T. They eat when
Hmm.
they need to eat, they drink when they need to drink. They got it down. They know how to enjoy the warmth of the sun.
I agree. Mine have it. They get to go indoors, they get to go outdoors, they can do whatever they want. Like, in fact, a lot of the cats we let in and out like 16 times a day if we're home because she's like, oh, eh, oh, eh, oh, eh.
Yeah, I've decided that if I come back as an animal, I want to come back to this lifetime and be one of your cats in the house you guys live right now because like life's fucking awesome there.
Shit, in the summer, I just leave the door open so they can do to their heart content. In fact, they'll go out one door and immediately go around the house and come in the next door. And I was like, what's the purpose of that?
Yeah,
What is the purpose of that?
just to get a little walk in because they can. Because why
Because they
not?
can, because they can. This is what they
Yeah.
do with their time. Yep.
They get wet food, they get dry food, they have a water fountain. There's a million
Hmm.
things for them to play with and like lay on and hide under and entertainment and ugh, I'm coming back as Zecora specifically.
The queen bee. Yeah.
She lives the life, dude.
Although she was not too happy with me because I did just bathe her.
Oh no, poor baby. She's like, what the fuck is this?
She's not, she was not happy with me so much, but she wasn't also horribly mad at me either.
I
So,
can hear her in my head saying, how dare you touch me? You do you
peasant,
know who I
get
am?
your hands off me.
Don't
How
touch
dare
me.
you,
How
wet
dare
bee
you?
fur.
You wench.
That's right. I had one cat that I bathed and she turned around and I wiped her all off and then I let her go. And she came back at me and she got on my lap and she pissed on me.
Was that Moose?
No, that was, we had a cat named Wampa and it was like a white with like a white tabby basically.
Oh,
So it was white
cute.
with the stripes on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was not thrilled with me at all with her
Oh,
bath.
that's hilarious. What a shithead comes back and pisses on you. So rude.
I know. I was like, what? I was like, oh, she's forgiving me. And I was like patting her. She's pissing on me. And I was like, you're lucky I don't put you back in the bath to wipe off the piss off your fur now.
That's it. Back in the bath. She's like, damn it.
And the vicious cycle continues.
Yeah.
Ugh.
She's like, I'll just pee on you again.
Right.
All right,
Okay,
Nicole.
Cassie, what are we talking about today?
Okay. So, in today's topic, I realized that we had to be specific yet again with what we were talking about because there are multiple things behind this, but we are talking about the sense of touch. And the reason I say that is because I found out there is such a thing as spiritual touch. We're not talking about that. This is not an episode of Kissed by an Angel. A
Touched by an
break
angel.
this is a breakdown of sense of touch because Nicole had brought this topic into the lineup. It was her idea to do this, and I had not really thought much about it. I was just like, "Ooh, that's a good one," not realizing how good it actually was because there was so much to this topic that it's like, but you don't know because you haven't actually realized it. It's been there this whole time behind your blinders of things you're not aware of. And
Hmm.
I didn't realize how big of a topic sense of touch could be. And so I'm really excited to get into this one.
Yeah, we do. We really don't realize how much we need it and how deprived we are of it.
Fuck yeah, dude. There is this, where is it? Somewhere in here. Here it is. I did not realize this. Touch is our first sense that we acquire.
Hmm.
It's the one sense we can never turn off. It's always at work. And I just have never thought about it like that because I was like, holy crap. It literally made me realize, like, in reading that when I was sitting doing research, I didn't realize that my body was touching things.
Yeah.
It's just become so second nature that we aren't even aware of everything that we're touching and feeling.
Well,
I was,
even when you said that your tongue is touching the top of your mouth right now, and I was like, it is.
it is
It is.
like
How did
even
you know?
another one that I got into a loop about was that when I blink, I can feel like my blink.
Yeah.
And normally
In
we're not even
multiple ways.
it makes me want to blink more because I'm like so hyper aware of the fact that I can feel my blink.
Hmm. No, touch is very, we forget that like as soon as you come out of the womb, touch is the first thing, right? You can't see. You probably could hear. You could probably smell as well. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they're dull just like the rest, like your eyesight is, right? And the first thing that's on point is touch. Even in the womb, you're touching fluid and your mother's stomach. And like we just have so much of it, right? And our
Yeah,
skin receptor is the biggest organ on our body, right? Like,
that's the other thing that I know that, but I've never truly thought about it where I was like, damn, that is our biggest organ is our skin, and that's what we touch is huge.
yeah.
My
In
it
fact, they've got uh I don't know if you call it a job. They got a thing out there that you can actually hire a person to cuddle with you, like a cuddle person.
Ooh.
And then you already know that there's no sex, it's just cuddling. Like, this is all I'm here to do. And you pay this person to cuddle with you, like you would pay a person to massage you. And like some of us might think that that's really funny because, I sometimes have a very immature sense of humor. So I'm like, hee hee. But like, if you think about it, like, especially for our older people that are like alone or single or they've outlived all their family and friends, like, they don't have anybody that would be like, hey, they can't go on the street and be like, hey, you want to cuddle with me? You
No.
can't go out and like find that, right? So like I really was really happy that like people could get this like benefit without it being like weird or whatever.
And you know what they just made me reminded me of is hey, yeah, your screen's doing something.
I know. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Never done that before.
Oh, now I know.
Um,
I'm out.
I saw on TikTok that some farms will have you pay like $10 to or $20 to like cuddle with their cows.
Yeah,
because
I would
cows
do
are
that.
like big dogs.
Yeah.
And
There
there's
was
this,
that girl on TikTok that,
yeah, that's the
yeah.
other girl I was going to, dude. We love her. I love this woman. She was like aggressively, she's like, when I need hugs and I just need aggressive hugs, I come out here and I just, oh, and she's like, look, I can't hurt her. Oh, and I was like, I need a cow. I need a cow. I just want a cow so bad.
I wanna lay on it like Jurassic Park. I wanna do that
Oh,
so bad.
I want to lay on it and squeeze it as hard as I can because today it's going to feel like a good little massage, maybe. And I'm just, mm. I need a cow that I can hug. Anyways, that is really cool that there are people out there that'll devote their time and energy to hugging people, though,
Mhm.
because like you said, and before when we were talking, before we recorded, you had said something about how we, people, you said this better, so I'm going to say this and then we'll let you dive dive in. There it is. That we don't have a lot of good things around touch, and sometimes if somebody of an opposite sex touches us, specifically that too, we immediately think they want sex from us or they're thinking about us in a sexual way. And I'm gonna let you take over from there because you said it in a way better way.
I don't even know what I said. Um, well, that's the thing is like I feel like in America, we are taught to touching means sex. Like that's, and you can notice this in our culture because as soon as those teenagers, those kids become teenagers, people stop touching them. Do you know
Yep.
what I mean? Like they don't, we don't hold them anymore. We're not holding them. Now, granted, that's because they're probably human size at that point. We don't. We don't rub lotion on them. We don't, they're supposed to be independent and da 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 da, but we forget this whole thing about like how important touch is. And one thing that I found out is that we need as much touch as the baby needed when it was a newborn. And think about this when we bring a newborn home and we start giving it to like its grandmother and its father and what, who aunts and uncles and all this stuff, like how many times this child is touched all the time, right? And I'm assuming that these are good, nurturing touches. We're not going to go into like the down part of it right now. We're going to go completely
Yes.
into everything's a-okay. So, we forget that. And then even as they grow up, like, and they want touches, so you have that toddler that like cuddles with you. This is the one thing that I needed as a kid for sure. I was always crawling up into my grandpa's like lounge chair and cuddling with him. And any event that I could get that, I would do it. That would be the thing that was my most important thing is to be touched. I needed to be held and I needed to be touched. And it's it's hard, and I think we really need to talk to each other about this because like I do believe that as we go forward, this is what's really going to calm your nervous system and everything kind of like that. But like you need to talk to people and be like, "Hey, I would like to cuddle with you, even if this is your spouse or your boyfriend or, your girlfriend or whoever your partner is, or even a friend. Like, I just need you to hold me right now. And this does not mean that I want to have sex with you or blah, blah, blah. And I obviously you could probably say it a little bit better than I'm saying it right now. But like, I think if we because I even noticed this, I'm such a touchy-feely person that like how people take it differently depending on the person, right?
Yeah,
Because they have their own history with touch and that kind of stuff too. And it's one of those things that we really can't I should say we have a hard time separating it from sex and
100%.
sexuality. Um because it immediately reacts into our body, right? But that's just goes to show you how much we are deprived of it.
Yeah, and to add to that, I'll add like a little bit of sciencey stuff behind it because I was really curious what happens, like what we think happens in the brain when that's happening, and actually it does calm your cardiovascular stress. And what it's doing is activating the body's vagus nerve. Now, your vagus nerve goes through your neck. And when you get stressed, some people have like a more intense version of this where they pass out because of stress or anxiety or fear. But when it's calmed down, it actually can, like simple touch can trigger releases of oxytocin. And when we're deprived of that, that's another deprivation, I want to say, or we're being deprived of another release of oxytocin that we need. And so I can
Mm-hmm.
see how that could get confused for people because the hormone that we're releasing is basically our love hormone.
Right.
And so I
So we
could,
do, well, because the only time we do get touched is sex.
yes, which is not okay because you said earlier we actually should be getting like 15 hugs a day to be thriving.
Yeah. This is why I hug every single one of my clients. This is why when COVID was happening and at our salon that we were working at, they were telling me specifically not to hug anybody. I'm like, this is the most time that you have to hug people.
Yes, especially
We're
those
all
that lived alone.
scared. Yeah,
Oh,
they were scared. And what do you, I am providing comfort. Yes, it may be to my own risk, but that's the risk that I'm willing to take.
also,
And
it's to
I,
my own benefit.
absolutely. The more that we release the oxytocin, the more we comfort, the more the people that can strive through these long, hard times. And I think that's what we're missing. We're just going through these motions. So then we get less touch, and the less touch that we get, the more angry, the more deprived we get, the more toxins we get as just a society. And it all comes back to like, we're not touching each other enough. I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I just need to hug you. Also, in the pool, like, if you touch me, I'm gonna kill you.
Well, yeah, because like there's times when you have to focus, right? And like touch also has to be consensual, as we all know. Again, we're not
Very
going down
much
that
so.
road. That's the
Right.
furthest we'll go, is it has to be consensual.
It
But
does have to be consensual.
you know, it's also, I read this thing that I wrote down because I thought this was really a good talking point is that the most powerful touches we encounter are those that are unplanned, unrehearsed, and arrive unannounced. And we discover in those touches the need to be open to life and the desire to be in that continuous flow because there are emotional and physical benefits that come from touch. Now, basically to break this down is that it's as simple as if I'm sitting with Nicole and I'm telling her about something that's been going really rough for me and she decides she's going to hug me and she hugs me, that unplanned, unrehearsed, like I didn't know it was coming touch can be so huge for connectedness between us. Like oneness of
Yeah.
like, I'm not actually alone. It can also help, like, again, with your emotional benefits that sense of touch can also offer security. It can offer safety, especially when it comes with your emotions.
Hmm.
Um, but those are some of our
It
most powerful
comes.
touches are the ones we don't see coming.
Touch calms the fact that we're all over anxiety and over stressed right now, and we're worried because, of whatever's going on in the world. Like I found even when we did the episode last week on disassociation, which is coming out later today, how much like this one therapist was saying, like, if you're sad to like go through what was this called? Somatic?
Butterfly taps, and it's called bilateral somatic touching, I
Yeah.
think is what it was.
And how, like, even if you just try to see how it does it, and some of us, because I notice that a lot of the stuff that I do intuitively, because I know my body needs it, but like I don't know. So it's kind of funny when we start researching it that I'm like, oh, I do that. Like on a even just like over my heart and kind of like comforting and self-soothing. So now I know it's self-soothing. So when I find I'm doing this or I have a longing to do this, I actually started talking to my nervous system and be like, thank you. You can calm down. You're in a safe place. You don't have to be like on alert. Like I started talking to it just so I could like really get into this moment of peace. Like I want to be able to set myself into a place of peace.
Right. Well, and like you're bringing up this study I read because you know how I am. I get really deep into these research holes and then I pull up studies and I'm like, okay, I have to read it. Um, Basically, before I get into the study, this is going to lean in that too, that touches are most in is more intimate than we're aware of, and it's our primary language of compassion, and it's our primary way of spreading compassion.
Hmm.
And they did a study to prove this. And it was actually really good. They brought tons of people in, different genders, different sexualities, all of the difference, and they put them a wall between them. And they had one person put their arm through, and the person on the other side of the wall was told to, in a 1 second touch, convey your feeling. And I want you to convey love. I want you to convey this. I want you to convey that. And it was insane to see the different, how much people knew off of one quick touch. Also, how different like genders and different sexualities and all these different kinds of people experience like touch in different ways.
Hmm.
And it was like so huge. And one of the biggest ones that people knew specifically what it was, there was two of them, love and fear.
Yeah.
They knew it when it was like somebody was scared, and they also knew when it was like a loving touch.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's like really cool.
It's funny because those two are the ones they said it in front of in Discovery of Witches, where the one thing that keeps the world running is desire and fear.
That's crazy. I could see it because I feel like you know immediately when somebody's scared, especially if they touch you and they're scared. They're looking for safety, they're looking for somebody to help them. And I feel like you also know when somebody loves you. Like
Hmm.
the kindness, the gentle touches, the caresses, the like the holding on to somebody for a second longer, things like that, where it's like, yes, that's love. And it's just,
Yeah.
I guess I've never thought about how much touch can affect somebody.
No, and we really do put this touch thing on a limitation, like it's candy almost. And, like, oh, you'll have too much, you're going to be a brat, or you're going to do this, or, like I've never been one. And this is my own personal experience, my own personal choices. I couldn't do the whole thing with the baby where you left it in the room to cry. Like, I couldn't do that. To me, and my like abandonment wounds, like that was like a no-go, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think Rob and I tried it one time and it took 15 minutes and both of us looked at each other like, why the fuck are we doing this? And it was that thing like, if she needs touch, if she needs comfort, these are things that will not spoil or ruin your child. They're not going to become a brat just because you gave them too many cuddles or too many like uh touches, like caresses. Like these are things that are validating. They create oxytocin in your child. Like, why wouldn't you give that to them, right? So, like,
right,
even as we grow up, like um, as Trinity grew up, like I noticed that she wanted to be cuddled still. And like at some point you're cuddling a whole like an adult human, so it is a little like you're not my baby, but like I still feel like if you need this because, high school's hard, there's a lot of pressure, you're not used to this kind of pressure. You've never been through this kind of pressure before. You don't know what to expect, and that's why there's so much extremes. So if we could just calm their stressful nervous system by holding them, not not to say the drugs are bad, but like not drugs, not like, okay, let's go disassociate, we'll watch a movie. Not, and all of those are fine, but like touch is the one thing that we can give for free. It's just us. Like I don't have to have, and I don't have to buy anything.
And when it
I can
comes
just touch you.
and when it comes to kids, who's better to touch them than their parents?
Right, right.
The one people that they should be expecting calming, loving touch from.
And a lot of times that's what they're asking for, right?
Yeah,
And they don't know how to convey it. Nobody's gonna come to you and go, "Hey, I need you to touch me."
right.
Because that sounds weird, right? Like why, like if I came up to you, well, okay, if I did it, it's totally different.
I was gonna
But
say, well, we're different. We're not part of the norm because we have done that. I've walked in but sometimes and I'm like, I just need you to hug me.
uh-huh,
It's like I just need a
uh-huh.
hug right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then
And a
I
lot of
just
times,
walk in and I like hug you, lay my head on your head, and just sit there for a minute because I need it.
yeah, because you just need it. Like, it's hard. And I always have been baffled by how society cuts off what we do for children. And then as soon as they hit like middle school on up, we now have deciphered. It's almost like as soon as they hit puberty, they're no good to us and we don't like do that anymore. Now you're sexually ready, matured, I don't know. But your body, so now we're all weird about it, right? The moment you can have sex, we're all weird about touch now. I don't
Yep.
know. Can I touch you? Is this appropriate? Like, and yes, we should ask if this is appropriate. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that we have to remember that each human being is deprived of touch because we need as much touch as we got as an infant. And that's really what we have to remember about our fellow human being, about our family, even.
We're gonna drill that in today, baby. We need
Oh,
as much touch as an infant because I mean it's true. Like just think about how much better of a world we'd have and people we would have if they were touched more in just wholesome, loving ways, in
mhm,
comforting ways, in ways they
mhm.
felt safe, in ways that they felt like good. Like 15 times a day, I'm getting the easiest oxytocin freaking dose. Hell yeah, dude, sign me up.
Right.
I need more hugs.
No wonder there were people standing around going, free hugs. Like,
Yeah. And you
you
know
get a
what's
dose,
crazy?
I get a dose. This is great.
It's crazy too, because like those videos always, some of them really fucking get me, man. Especially the ones where like somebody will come up and like just hug somebody for a long time and break down. And I'm like, oh, my heart, my heart.
And that's what it does for you. It finally gives you a place to kind of rest, even if it's just for a moment. It's
Yeah.
just this place that you're longing for that you don't even know you're longing for. You don't even know what you need until you got it kind of thing. And then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and then you let go because you've been holding that dam for so long.
Yeah, there's even I didn't put any of this in here because it would have been a lot to talk about and like I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell you guys about it and you can look it up if you want. But you can even break this down into what each different kind of touch means if you're trying to understand people better. Like there's even the over the shoulder has a different meaning in brains. Like it's trying to convey something. A touch to your forearm, a touch to your shoulder. There's like you can break down different touches and what they statistically mean to try to understand different ways people are, you know, communicating to you through touch.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense, obviously, but like that's super interesting.
Yeah, because like it's like it reminded me of how they've studied body language and how much
Hmm.
that can tell you and how there are people who literally do this for a living where they study body language and they talk about like how what their people's body language means. Like even like crossing your arms, leaning back, you're closed off, you want to get away from the conversation, you don't want to be here, something like that to where something like like a soft hand on the shoulder can mean that you are being supportive. A clap on the shoulder is like a um like, I believe in you. You got this. Go ahead. It's like almost like a push in a way. And I was just like, there's so many breakdowns. If you guys are really curious about that, look it up because I read quite a lot that I was like, oh, like a grab on the forearm. If somebody grabs your forearm, that can mean that they're scared. Something's scaring them, or they don't want to talk about something because they're scared to talk about it. Things like that, where I was just like, I've never thought about all these touches and the meanings behind them. Usually, I feel like I have a good grasp on what's going on, but sometimes it could mean something deeper that you haven't picked up on yet.
Right.
So, if that's something that interests you, please go look it up because it was pretty interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's the thing is like, we really, and we touch for a living, right? Like
Yeah,
we touch, and it's kind of interesting to think about like that's why people, I mean, yes, we are talented in our craft and we do quite well, but like to know that I give people oxytocin, and then not only that, I'm getting oxytocin as well just by touching. So it's very cool to like kind of think about that as a like, that's what I'm providing. Because if you think about it, nobody touches you besides your like massage therapist, right?
true. That's true.
I mean,
We are
we're not talking about partners. I'm just talking about out there in the world, right?
right. We are a part of the oxytocin mill.
We are.
That's what came into my head when you were saying that.
We should open a salon that says oxytocin.
Yes, that would be
Oxy.
accurate. Axes.
Oxys.
I love that. Yeah, I guess when you break it down like that, that's true. If you were in an industry where you're touching people, and you're touching people in ways that are like comforting, or you're talking to them a lot and you're touching them on top of it, you are releasing oxytocin. You're releasing their safety, their love, their compassionate. You're opening that up for them. And I read this thing too that talked about how we don't realize the oneness that we feel when we are touching another. And that one hit me too, where I was like, holy shit, yeah, we don't realize the oneness we feel because it is. It's like most of us have been in the places other people have been in, or at least experienced the same emotions, regardless of the situation. And it is this oneness where we're connecting and we're realizing like we're both human, we're both experiencing the same feeling. And it's like, there's just, I mean, I could go on, but I
Hmm.
digress because like the oneness is a whole thing we could go on to. But
Well, it's a connection, right? Like you're completing the circuit at that point. And that's why you feel good when you touch somebody that you love. And that's why you feel bad when you like touch somebody that you don't like, right? Like that touch is so important because that circuit is being completed now, right? Like if I hold hands with somebody I don't really like, mm, but yeah, I touch somebody that I like and I'm like, huh,
mm,
like it's
mm,
a it's a very interesting kind of like stuff that we don't even think about or process at all. We just go about our day and do it.
which, if you're okay with, we could move into spiritual energy transfer through touch based off what you just said, because I feel like there are ways that we can explain why we don't want people to touch us that we don't like either.
Mm-hmm.
And it's through the spiritual energy transfer through touch.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I guess to break that down, firstly, like, spiritual energy transfer through touch can be used in Reiki a lot, but it happens on a day-to-day basis that we're not even aware we're doing unless you are aware. It's like one of those if you know, you know thing,
Yeah.
but you don't know until you know.
You know?
So firstly, every person has their own energy system, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know this. Actually, there are scientists that have gone and proven spiritual energy transfer through touch.
Wow.
Yeah, whole studies out on it. It's really cool to see. But basically, the easiest way to make this make sense is we have our own energy fields, and our environment plays a huge role in our energy fields. And coming into contact with another's energy field has a huge role on our like yeah, it has a big effect on our energy field as well. So if it's
Hmm.
an energy that's not vibing well with your own energy and you're touching, it can really affect your energy as well as your energy can affect them. Hopefully for the better at that point, but who knows? But spiritual transfer through touch can amplify the healing power of touch by transmitting positive spiritual energy to the recipient. That's what's happening a lot in Reiki, is they're transferring positive spiritual energy. Usually it is
Yeah, they're channeling, right?
thank you. Yes. It's from the divine. It's from a bigger source than just
Hmm.
themselves. They're channeling that energy into you. And what that's supposed to help with is that's supposed to help reduce any pain you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, speed healing, and improve physical function. That's why Reiki is so big for people and why people can cry, why they could see things, why, like, when somebody's moving through your body, we store energy in different parts of our field because it's easier for us to carry. And if we have a set amount just like huddled in together, it's like all these, like you think about it like atoms, they've all like come together and they're just bundled in this area right here on my shoulder. And when it gets released, I'm crying
Hmm.
and I might all of a sudden start thinking about a loss that I experienced or a pain that I experienced, an experience that was really hard for me. That is all that energy that I bottled up into one area. And I said, here it is on top of my shoulder, and I'm going to carry it right here in my energy field because that's where it seems easiest, even though it's heavy. And an
Hmm.
energy Reiki person is coming in and saying, we're going to move that energy. We're going to break it up. We're going to start pulling away and we're going to start discarding that energy so we can work through it so that our energy field is more balanced.
Absolutely. And if we don't do anything about this built up of energy, that's when it starts, like if it's in your shoulder, you could probably get shoulder surgery then. And you're right, this is the grief. This is where grief is stored, is
Thank
right
you,
here.
because that just
Yeah.
came through. I was not me.
Hmm.
So thank you also. Because I was like, I don't know why I'm saying this, but this seems right.
Hmm. Nope, that's where we store grief. So if you look up, you can Google this all the time. What is on my shirt? Anyway, sorry, I got the turn.
Squirrel.
Squirrel, look, it's on my shirt. And I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, so if you Google this, you can Google, like, if you have a pain in the ankle, if you have a pain on your right shoulder, if you have a pain lower back, if you have a pain or even like a pull or something in your leg, these are all this all goes back to emotions and the emotions that we're storing and that we're not looking at, or at least not giving it the time of day. So, and then the problem is if you continue to hold that in you for long periods of time, it will end up as an actual physical illness or break.
Right.
So, like, you'll have shoulder surgery, or you'll have like pneumonia, or you'll have a broken ankle, or I don't know, fine, well, something will, because that's what manifestation does. And it takes it longer when it's a negative type of manifestation. It's almost like having a dirty house. Like if you've got that one section that you don't look at, and then it's been years, and you go in and clean it out, and now you see like, oh, the paint's peeling in this corner because it didn't get any air or oxygen, or really, and we know that it's not getting any energy, so it's starting to decay. So
Mhm.
that's what we're actually doing, is like the stuff that's not being seen starts this form of decay.
Yes. So, like this spiritual energy transfer through touch, right? It can also help to balance out your chakras, especially your heart chakra, and heal emotional wounds because not So every Reiki instructor is going to do things differently, just as every hairdresser is going to do things differently, right? We all have found our own ways of doing a practice that works for us specifically and within our own energy and like what we want to give to the world. It's the same with Reiki healers. Some won't touch you at all. Some will do a mixture. Some will touch you the whole time. Some will use different tools. Like this one woman that I swear to God was sent by the divine themselves in New Orleans gave us the best Reiki I have ever experienced in my life to the
She,
point that this woman was not touching me. And she
nope.
was asking me all these questions beforehand about do I have any physical ailments? I told her the only one I can think of that bothers me every once in a while, but it's random, is my left ankle. I sprained it or I did something to it like a couple of years ago. And sometimes when I'm walking a lot, it'll like get a little swollen and hurt a little bit, but it's not bad enough that I've ever had to have it like really looked at. And it's rare that it happens. And so I was like, that's the only thing I can think of. And then she was talking to me about emotional wounds and things like that. So as she's working on me, she did not touch me. This I did not know because I felt like she took my left ankle and was rolling it and stretching it and moving it and doing all these things to it the entire time. And she didn't touch me once. And it was
Yep.
the most insane experience. I was like, dude, she is so good.
Dude, she was so good. She was so good that after you and I got done, my daughter was like, "You guys feel so good. I want to go do this." And Trinity is like very guarded. She doesn't want to do anything, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, let's go. We'll go do it. We gave that girl so much money.
Yeah, we did because
She deserved it, all of it. She
she
deserved
deserved
all
all
of
of it and
it.
more. Hell yeah. I mean, the reason I bring her up too is because she didn't touch us and she used different things. She was using incense. She was like doing singing around us. She was using bells. She was calling in people. Um, it can be different ways that they're touching you through energy. It can be a physical touch or it can be an energetic touch.
Hmm.
And so, like, they can work through so many different things. And I felt like Reiki was a big thing to talk about when we're talking about the sense of touch because I think Reiki is really slept on in the spiritual community. I think it's looked at almost like a massage. When
Right.
I watched you specifically do Reiki consistently to help your body energetically get ready for what you were doing, as well as move through things you were holding on to, and it was insane the changes it was making for you.
Hmm. Well, that was the thing is I really used Reiki because I knew I was getting into ritual magic and I knew that it was all energy based. And I knew that you could blow out your chakras and you could be out for a couple days. So that's really what I focused on for a good year, I think, while I was starting with um ritual magic. I was going at least once a month to Reiki sessions just so I could get my chakras and different power points in better condition, really.
Yeah. I feel like when you're going through just about anything, you guys, even if you do want to get into ritual magic and you decide you want to try something like that, definitely Reiki is going to help your body get ready energetically. If you're going through something heavy like a grief, a loss, a horrible experience, Reiki can help your energy field clear that out and get you back on a regulated thing. Reiki's huge because it is spiritual energy transfer through touch. Again, regardless of if that touch is physical or not, it's still energetic fields coming together, theirs and yours,
Absolutely.
that they are
Hmm.
channeling divine energy in to help you.
This is also a great way to, like, if you wanted to work on yourself, this is a great soft opening because you don't have to do anything but sit there and you're getting the benefits, right? If I'm not ready to talk about my childhood trauma yet, Reiki is where I would start
Oh, that's a good point.
because you don't have to, like, tear it all out, examine it, and then, do whatever you do afterwards with it. Like, And it doesn't have to be this long, drawn out process. You don't need, or have you, maybe you're just too embarrassed to even like say it or anything like that. This is a great way for you to receive healing on that specifically, where you don't necessarily have to face it so much yet.
Yeah, and it can help like declutter your mind and
Hmm.
clear your mind and promote mental clarity, give you that focus and concentration on it, like so that you're not holding like we talk about it like women are the only ones that do this, but I know so many people that do this regardless of gender, where we have 60 tabs open at one time and they're like this freaking minusculely big because you can't even see what the first letter starts with because we're bopping between them and we should be focusing on the first window that we opened up. That first window opened up 60 other tabs.
Ain't that the truth, man?
Reiki could go in and help you like clear all that mental,
Hmm.
clear some of those tabs out so you can get down to like maybe the four that you need to help you with the one.
Hmm.
So yes. Also this so going through this spiritual transfer of energy through touch can also be a powerful tool for, and I know this is going to be one of those words that we don't like, but for spiritual awakening. It can help you start becoming aware of more. Like just
Yeah.
aware of more. Your body, your emotions, that you're more than just a walking around aimless robot that doesn't have to think about things. It can
Aren't they
help
called
you
NPCs?
NPCs, more than NPC, there it is. It can help awaken your spiritual life force consciousness within you
Hmm.
and get you connected to the divine because what it does is it starts clearing up this path and it starts making you very aware of like you are more than just an NPC.
Yeah, this is a great way to like, like those taps that have not been like turned on for a very long time and you got to get the clogs out and like that's kind of how this is. This is what gets the clogs out so that you can run spiritual energy through you instead of it like stopping here or stopping you from getting that kind of energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like you had said earlier, I want to reiterate it again and just back up what you're saying because I just hit something else where therapy can feel hard, right? Because it is a deep dive. It is we're going to talk about this and work this out. We're going to take things from this trauma folder and put it into a folder where we can understand it and move on. And like, it's no longer this like burning box of folders in the corner of my head. Reiki can help that process in a much
Hmm.
gentler way. I just want to reiterate what Nicole said because the therapy thing came in. If therapy feels too hard, Reiki, like she said, would be where she would start. And I agree because I think it's just such an easy way to start opening it's like removing the blinders so slowly that it's like a millimeter at a time so that you could see like just a little bit more and then a little bit more and a little bit more. And it just slowly
Well,
works it in.
especially if we just go along with that kind of concept is that think about it. If I rip off your blinders, your eyes are going to let go. Oh God, it's sunlight. Like
Please
I
put them back
can't.
on.
Yeah, it's going to be very aggressive. And since we're moving into this like kinder, gentler kind of society, we we're not doing that anymore. We don't have to do that anymore, right?
Right.
So doing this like soft opening where like you bring the blinds open slightly instead of aggressively is the way we want to be to ourselves anyway, because we want to be kind and gentle to ourselves. And we want to like, yeah, I want to fix it and I want to clean it out and heal the trauma from the past. But like, I don't necessarily want to create more trauma while I'm fixing my trauma.
Right.
Like, so it's okay to be kind and gentle to ourselves and take baby steps towards it because, like, it is hard to look at and it's hard to face. And, like, it gets hard to, like, my client and I last night were like, I just am done, just done. I don't want to work on myself anymore. I don't want to look at it anymore. I don't want to, I'm just done. Like, and it's not true. I just get to a point where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, we've all been there, right? And go back to there where it's like, this is so much. And nobody else is doing the work.
Yeah, yeah, and we like, just had that breakdown because like, dude, it's okay. Like I get it. But I also know that I feel so compelled to just here we are, do it again, right?
Yep.
The more I
Yeah.
learn about humanity, the more I learn about people, the more I learn about myself, the more I can help and guide other people through things, right? Because that's what's the whole point. I mean, what else am I gonna do, right? Like, this is what I've been put here to do. This is what you've been put here to do.
Yeah, because we can't all be cats, man.
No, I mean, I guess I can identify as a cat, but I don't really want to use a litter box. So,
No, no,
no,
no,
no.
no. I could go outside sometimes, but I really wouldn't like it when it's cold.
No, I don't think I would like that. We would be like hairless cats.
I have said to myself too, if I can't come back as one of your cats, I want to come back as one of the like hairless cats that gets like a bath all the time and gets to wear these cute little cozy sweaters and like gets
N-
rubbed down because I gotta get
No, dog.
lotion on my skin because otherwise
Or
my
else it
skin's gonna
could.
be dry.
No.
Or else it gets the hose again.
Nope. I am not, I love all animals equally. I am not a big fan of those.
Also, like you don't love all animals equally.
I said I wasn't a big fan. Like if I had one wander into my yard, obviously I would take it in and like give it a sweater, clearly, right? But the whole point of having a goddamn pet is to pet its fur.
So this is off topic, but I have to say this too. Have you seen Koi, the
What?
werewolf cat?
Yes.
They are a
Yeah.
mixture of hairless cats and something else. And I think they're so fucking cute. They look like little tiny werewolves, and I love them.
He is cute. They are cute. Yes, yes.
There you go. So they get like almost the same treatment as Sphinx or hairless cats do.
No.
No. Yes, yes,
No.
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 No, no, no.
There's a lot of things that I don't like about it. This is where my like particular brand of like OCD or autism, whatever you want to call it, but like there's too much flesh to it. And I already have to see their buttholes all the time. I don't want to see the rest of it.
I like it.
I don't like it.
I like it. Skin on skin.
Oh my God, you
Um,
would sweat. You would, they would be stuck to your chest or your belly.
you know
Oh my
what?
God.
Maybe that's the kind of touch I would need though.
Hey, fair. That is a fair statement right there, buddy. I agree. I'm gonna go get that hairless rat so I can.
Oh, I love the hairless rat. Oh,
Ugh.
I love her. She's so sweet and she feels so cozy and I like her skin. I love it. It makes her feel
Oh.
more fragile. I don't
It
know what it
does.
is
It
about
does.
animals not having fur make them feel more fragile to me than animals with fur. And I don't know how to explain it other than my cats at home, sometimes they'll like wiggle out of my arms and I'll just let them, okay, you want to go? Then go, dude. You drop to the floor, you're fine, they're fine. But like a hairless one, I will set you down so gently, my child. You are fragile.
Well, because it would be skin on skin contact and then it would slide
Yeah.
up and then you both would get a rug burn on it. Like, I've thought this out just now. I just thought it all the way through. No, no, dog.
Okay, we digress. The last
We
thing,
digress.
the last thing that I have, well, I have two things. Really quick, I wanted to say that when it comes to spiritual sense of touch, there is a whole nother, Clairvoyance, voyance, clairvoyance, all those. There is another one
Claire's.
that the clairs, thank you. Um, there's another one that we haven't talked about too much that I am going to commend you to look up on your own because this goes along with spiritual sense of touch, but this is not what we are talking about today. Um, it's actually called, I just was looking at it. Sorry, let me see if I can find it again because I didn't know this. There's another Claire that is about touch. You could just look up the Claire about touch.
Oh, I was
And
just looking at this too, actually.
yes, there are it's called clear tangency. It's clear
Yeah.
touch. It's essentially you can you feel things that aren't there. You could feel people that aren't there. If you think maybe do this or you want to look into it, do some research. There are people on TikTok talking about it. Like again, it's clear tangency.
How do you spell
Um,
that?
CLAIRTANGENCY. There's this woman on TikTok who I really like. Her name is Belle Rose, Belle Rose. Um, she's talked about a lot of different she talks about a lot of different things. I feel like her TikTok page is more of a blog, which I like because I don't feel like I get to know somebody, but she's done quite a lot of the clairs and different like crystals. She also sometimes will just like review makeup she likes and books she likes, but she talks specifically about clairtangency, and I think she described it in such a easy to eat way. I like her soup, is what I'm saying. It's
Gotcha. Gotcha. I
easy.
got it. I got it.
Yeah, it's easy. It's not too flavorful, but it's just enough that it's good sustenance.
Yeah. No, that's good. Because I feel like sometimes like that kind of stuff, you need a little like baby spooning, right? Before you get into it, to the deep dive part of it.
Yep, and she gets just the simpleness. She doesn't like give you every little tiny thing, but there are exercises out there for that one too, so I wanted to talk about that. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to touch, because I think this is a big part of touch that we need to talk about is the touch in relationships and how much that can deepen your relationship. Touch is essential to building and maintaining those close relationships, right? Because especially in an intimate relationship, how are you going to build a deeper connection with somebody when you're not even sharing energy with them? You're transferring energy from each other, and usually when it's intimate touch, it's positive energy you're transmuting between each other. There can also be negative energy transmuted between each other where you start carrying around your partner's stuff. I wanted to bring this up after we talked about the spiritual energy transfer through touch, because if you feel that you are carrying something from somebody, especially your physical intimate partner, this is where Reiki would be huge as well. Because it doesn't always mean that it's a bad thing and they're putting that on you, right? It could be something that somebody is working through that they're having a hard time carrying it all themselves, and you get it through touch without realizing you're getting it. And Reiki can help a lot with that.
Yeah, this is something that I kind of struggle with a lot of the times. And the only way I've become actually aware of it is like if I touch you and then I go get a reading, they read they read you.
Yep.
And this is one of the things that I've really like it found it very interesting because a couple times I've been through a lot of readings. I also know myself quite well. So it's really cool to get a reading because now it's more about validation or a cheerleading moment that I need to pick me up and like just kind of brush me off and like, okay, you're fine, you're doing fine. Um, and then when you go in and you're like, no. Like they're not hitting the points quite right. Like you're trying to struggle and be like maybe or blah blah blah. And it's interesting that we can do this because I never it's not something that we talk about. So I
It's not
wasn't
something we
aware.
think about,
Yeah, yeah. Because you think your energy is your energy.
right? Yeah, and I guess after we broke down that about like our energy fields, it makes a lot more sense, especially in moments where you're so open to receiving like intimate sexual moments with your partner. You're very open to receiving. There was this time that I became really aware of it where a partner had another partner that I was with. We were in a open relationship, and the partner that they had an anxiety attack before they left, or panic attack, and I was
Yeah.
unaware of it. And they spent the night with me, and the next day when they left, I had a panic attack. And I was like, when I came out of it, it was so unbelievably intense. And I was like, what the f just happened?
Yeah.
And I had texted them, I was like, did your other partner have like what did something happen? And they were like, yeah, they had an anxiety attack when I left the other day. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about it. And I was like, it came with them to my house and got given to me. And I was like,
Right.
holy crap, I can't believe. Like I just didn't think about that, because it had never happened before. On the flip side of this is where you could really strengthen your bond with somebody and increase that love and connection and that safety. When Nicole and I are together, we hug each other a lot and touch each other. We fuck around a lot too, because that's just who we are. But it really has strengthened this bond in the way where it's like I feel safety around her. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have to be anybody other than who I am. I don't feel like I
Mm-hmm.
have to put on a show or hide. Well, sometimes I still do, just that's my own thing. But for the most part, I don't feel like I have to hide things. I can tell her, and I know it's not going to lead to anything but love and hugs and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
kisses and like, it's that feeling of safety that we can like really build with somebody when we're allowing ourselves to have intimate moments with our friends, our loved ones, our intimate relationships.
Mm-hmm. No, these are places that are like, it's sometimes I feel like it's kind of rare in our sense of the words, because I'm sure that other people experience this. Maybe they experience it all the time. And we just don't come from that kind of a place.
Right.
And it's nice that we can find these places in other people where we can actually be safe 100% instead of being like 40% or 60%. Like I would tell you anything where some people I would be a little guarded just because of their um I don't know, level of maturity or not understanding or whatever it is, like guarded just because I'm always afraid I'm going to be yelled at and it's always my fault. So
Yep.
so it creates I do, carry around these like trust issues. So it's nice to actually have somebody that we can trust and depend on for that kind
Yeah.
of stuff too.
I think though, when I think about it, and the reason I also wanted to bring this up is because, as you guys know, in every relationship beginning, it's not always like that. I mean, Nicole and I we clicked pretty quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
we got close because we were, diving into this deep end that neither of us were really ready for, but we were. If that makes sense?
Yeah, we
Like,
didn't know what we were getting into, that's for sure.
yeah. And we didn't know we were ready, but I'll tell you, like, it
Yeah.
changed a lot. Like, when we started really opening up to each other, we started hugging each other, we started like
Mm.
just touching each other. I realized that through this episode, hug your friends, man. Hug the people you love. And it's not because it's the whole, you don't know when your last day is going to be bullshit. It's more about the moment of now. It's like
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Anyways, it's about right now. It's the fact that if you need a hug, give your friend the opportunity to show up for you and hug you. Give yourself the openness and opportunity to show up for your friends. It can Touch can strengthen these relationships to the point that they're unbreakable bonds. And I feel like this is where a lot of unconditional love comes in, as well as when we are open enough to touch each other. That's when like a lot of that comes in too.
Right. Because, well, we forget what unconditional love really is, and that's love with no conditions. So, which, if you really think about it, it's really hard to have
Oh,
unconditional love. You really got to work at it because you have to be like,
You have to follow four agreements,
Yeah. Yep.
which, if you're following the four agreements, unconditional love could be easy.
Because you're not supposed to take anything personal. You're not
Fuck,
supposed to assume. You're
fuck,
supposed to do your best
fuck.
and always
Be
be
impeccable with your
impeccable with
word.
your words.
We've talked about the four agreements a lot, and we'll probably continue to talk about them for the rest of our lives because they're huge steps
And
in
they're
the life in
easy.
life, and they are
They're
easy.
easy to remember. They're easy to like pull out. They're a good thing in your toolbox because they're just simple.
And it doesn't sound easy at first because I literally I love when I talk to the four about the four agreements with people. I had a client the other day I was talking about it and I said, you know the four agreements. And she said, yes, but this was a personal and an attack. And I said, remember what they said. If somebody shot you in the head, you are not supposed to take that personally. And she's like, and I was like, I know.
I know.
I know, but also that makes it feel so much easier to deal with, doesn't it? It was
Yeah,
not about you. It wasn't personal. And that alone,
absolutely.
when you put the four agreements in with touch, dude, unconditional love is easy. Easy.
I mean, we'll work on the four agreements for the rest of our lives. Let's get that straight, right? Like we
Yeah.
will, and the thing is that it, as human beings, and if you really want a better society, it all starts with us. You have to start with you. So you're not going to change anybody by like yelling at people on the internet. That has an opposing view of you. You're not going to change anybody's mind about yelling at that person at the grocery store because of whatever reason. You're not going to change their mind. You're not going to do anything. It's not going to happen, right?
Right.
It starts with you. And it took me a long time to really put this into like an actual, like, feel it instead of it just being a word or a slogan on the wall kind of thing.
Right.
Um, because it took me a long time to figure out that it wasn't personal. It was like one of those downloads that came in, and I realized that the person that's judging me is not because of me. I didn't do anything wrong. Right? It's because of how they grew up, because of the wounds and the win the loses and the wins that they've went through during their life, whatever, experiences that they've had and they've gathered through that lifetime as well. Anything from the past, anything from that's coming in the future that they're building, all of that has everything to do with them.
Yes. 100%.
So when they're reacting, I don't have to react so much because even if I don't know what they're going through at this time, we can clearly see that they're in distress and to have compassion for them. I also can realize that when I can feel the fire in my belly starting to like rise up to defend me, I can dispute that or disperse that when it starts to come up because I know that none of this is personal. It's not about me.
Hmm.
None of this is about me, right? And those anchors, when you're going through these like moments that are not in the physical world and you can't put them in little organized boxes, when these anchors that we come in, like this is what makes it really nice is that if I hold true that the four agreements are true, I can cement those in. So now if I'm out in the wilderness or out in the space bubble continuum, I don't know, being lost, I don't have any points. Like if you're in the middle of the ocean, you don't have any landmarkings, right? Like I have those landmarkings in my toolbox or I've put them out there in the ocean so I can actually be like, okay, okay, okay. Like I'm being triggered right now, but I know for a fact that I'm not supposed to take anything personally.
Hmm.
So then that helps me work through what's going on because I have that one thing, that one landmass that helps me like ground myself through it and really see that it's not. about me personally. It's about how they, whatever they're going through.
Right.
It's all about them. This is what they've learned. This is how they've done it. Like, so I guess with all that said, this is how we start to be compassionate for our fellow people that are actually hurting, whether it's because they're touch deprived, whether because they're sleep deprived, whether they're because they've got too much stress on them.
Yeah.
And let's face it, it is stressful. But you know what? And it does look doomy and gloomy, but you know what? Fuck that shit. I am not going down like that.
Fuck no, me neither. We ain't no love and light bitches, but we're not also like dark and twisty gloom and doom.
No, I'm
We're
not.
somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Ain't no love and light, bitch. I'll never forget you saying that. Yeah, dude, I guess the whole thing about touches. We're all fucking touch deprived because we didn't get it. We don't get enough touch throughout the day like we did when we were children. So hug your fucking friends, hug your kids, hug your loved ones. Like just
I would
get some
even
touches, man.
I would even say or suggest, and I'm no doctor, and you can take this for what it's worth. If you have had a bad experience about touch, like abuse or sexual abuse or anything that was negative like that, that made you not like touch, but you know you need it, is get some oil and like start massaging your own body. Even
Mm-hmm.
like I started intuitively, even like my shoulder hurt. So then I start to kind of rub it and caress it and like I'm breaking up that energy. Like in my head, I notice that I'm like kind of breaking up the energy so it's not stagnant. Like because I'm so aware of my physical body right now, I feel them so, and it's like they're almost screaming to be touched and they need to be worked out or just, whatever, like broken up.
Broken up. Yep, yep.
Mhm.
I get you.
Well, if you have nothing, I wanted to just go over two little sciencey things with touch that they did experiments for
Oh my
the
God, yes,
fan.
please.
All right, so we were talking about this earlier.
Oh yeah. I forgot about this. I'm excited.
So, and these would be deep dives for you guys to really look into if you were so inclined. One of them is there was a science experiment done on monkeys. I think they were Rhesus monkeys, not Rhesus Pieces monkeys, but Rhesus monkeys. And they took the babies as they were born from the mothers, and and this was all about touch. So they had them in separate cages, and they were well taken care of except for the touch. They were cleaned, but they were never talked to and they were never touched in a way that was more than what they physically needed to either be cleaned or changed or whatever, right? Like, um, they only did that. And with this experiment, what they found was after a while, what they would do is they found that they would like start to rock themselves, self-soothe. They would
Oh.
disassociate, like falling out of like just dissociating from their life completely. They would um they had these things where they were really starting to break down. So what they ended up doing after that is putting in two chicken wire uh structures that looked kind of like a monkey. One of them having some terry cloth on it, and then the other one having a bottle, substance like nutrition.
Mm.
And the funny thing is we would think that they would go for the mother figure that had the food before they would go to the mother figure that had the comfort. And really what they found was that these monkeys were going towards the comfort more than the food. And this is animal instinct. these are animals, which we think that we're so much like, above them intellectually,
Right.
right? But like, so if we trust that, if we trust the fact that the animal can't think for themselves, especially as a young age and in a baby kind of environment, is the fact that instinctively they went for the mother with the comfort, then they went for the mother with the milk. Remember that. Because
Oh.
like we even need comfort and touch more than we need food. But we don't see it that way, right? We are a social creature by design. So when you all say that you don't like people, you're wrong.
Bullshit.
You're wrong because you're a social creature by design. Now, obviously, creatures can be bad, blah, 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 whatever. Uh,
Also,
Um,
if you work with people and you say you don't like people, that's just, you're literally a walking contradiction. I'm sorry. That's one of my other pet peeves.
it
So you brought
is.
that up and
It's
it, my immediate was
so,
like, whoosh. I hate that.
no, I know. And we're so used to saying it that I really have tried hard not to say it anymore
Me too.
because it's such a trendy or cliche kind of thing. Like, ha, ha,
It's
ha, I
like
hate
force a
people.
habit sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it's acceptable,
Right.
right? Like everybody says that. Oh, I hate, oh, people are going to be there. Oh, I hate people, blah, blah, blah. No, you don't hate people. You actually need them, right?
Right.
And if you hate the people that you're hanging around with, find fucking new people. I don't know what to tell you.
True.
Um, the second thing I want to talk about, unless you had any questions or concerns with that first one.
Nope, just I was here hearing my pet peeve because it started that little fire of like, God, I fucking hate when people say it. You're a walking cliche. But I
Yeah,
digress. So no, you can
I
move on. I like that one.
absolutely. That is so, that is so, it's so, shut
Yep.
up.
Shut up.
Okay, so then the second experiment that it was is almost the same, but they actually, and this was done in the US. I am not sure what year it was, but it's probably, I think in the 1940s, 50s era. They did a experiment with babies. So they had these babies and they only, again, they only did the bare minimum. They only came in and changed them. They were in a very sterile environment. They didn't get any extra touching. Like they got
Mhm.
fed, they got, I know,
I know the
trust,
monkeys and the babies, the baby monkeys, the babies. It's like,
but without this information, and my heart goes out to it because I wouldn't want anything to suffer. I'm not very good at
yeah.
suffering,
Oh, I
right? Like
know.
I am a creature comfort of my own demise because I don't like suffering. Although I apparently do since I get tattoos, but I digress. So
Walking contradiction.
absolutely, here we are. Now I see why. So these babies uh of course didn't go well. It did not go well. They didn't thrive.
No.
But I want to really get this through our heads of how much you need touch. You need touch so much that these babies only lasted 4 months. They stopped the program 4 months in, four
Yeah.
months
Yeah. Makes sense.
because they were dying.
Well, yeah, because that's like, what do they call it when there's a preemie that was born, their lungs aren't doing well, their heart's not doing well, and they need skin to skin contact.
Absolutely. But for some reason, we forget that bullshit or we think we grow out of it. But like, that's the thing. It's like, if you're not thriving, you're missing something. And it's not just one thing that makes us up. That's why we're a complex creature. We don't eat one thing.
Right.
We can't eat one thing. We don't need one thing. There's this complex and these layers that we have about us that we want to pretend like we ignore. Not only that, we're trying to not be human anymore. We're trying to be immortal. We're trying to think that we don't have urges or like needs or like
That
any of this
nothing
stuff.
bad will happen to us.
Right, because we think that we're trying to be less human.
Hmm.
And basically less human is Android. So I don't know what you want me to do with that part.
Really quick, because I was curious, so I looked it up. Skin to skin contact is, for those that might not know, because I don't, there would have been a time I wouldn't have known, is a practice where a baby is laid directly on the mother's bare chest after birth, and both of them are covered in a warm blanket, and they're left for at least an hour or until after the first feeding. And the top benefits, because there are plenty, the top ones are is that it regulates the baby's body temperature,
Yep,
stabilizes the baby's breathing and heartbeat and more. It encourages breastfeeding. It helps with their crying, helps them feel safe. It helps to release hormones and trigger instincts in your babies that make them feed easier and more naturally.
absolutely.
Skin to skin contact
Just skin to skin contact.
helps you
Yes.
right after you're born.
Yes.
Like that's like one of the first things that is happening is like the baby is getting put in the mother's arms.
Yep. They did that with Trinity, just right into my arms. Like not even they don't and they don't clean them off. They don't do anything. They literally, which is good, right? Like we like to be all grossed out about stuff, but like they literally take them out and then put them on your chest. And
Yeah.
that's like, and it is the most magical time.
Even my cousin whose baby was premature by I want to say 3 or 4 months, every day they were having her do time with him where he was skin to skin kangaroo down her neck, man, just right here in a pouch because
Yeah,
he was a preemie and it helped with his breathing. It helped stabilize his heart. It helped his body start regulating because that skin to skin touch is so important.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that goes to show you right there is how well he's
Thriving.
thrived. I was
Thrived.
trying to put thrive and survive together in my head.
Thrived.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thrived.
I was like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Touch is important, man.
so
Can't say it
I,
enough.
if you think this is something that would help you in your day-to-day life, just to make you less depressed, just to make you a little bit happier, just to help you thrive a little bit more, is go out and get a massage. Go out and get a massage. Like go hug your child. I don't know. Figure it out. Figure out where you can get it. If you can't, do it yourself because it does work if you like pressure on your chest always makes me feel better.
Hug yourself.
Hug yourself. Sometimes when I've had a particularly long day, I will kind of wrap myself a little bit. And again, I started to, because this evolved into I can notice that my body immediately needs soothing and then talk to my nervous system and you're calm,
Oh,
peaceful.
weighted blankets, weighted pillows, weighted toys.
Absolutely. Good
Almost
thing that you
forgot.
brought that up because like that's another thing. Weighted blankets are amazing.
Amazing. That
Yep.
pressure on your body,
Yep.
even if you don't like a weighted blanket, it feels like a little claustrophobic because that's how I am. They make toys that literally hug you. Their arms are weighted. They're like one of them is called Moon Pals. Moon Pals have really long arms that are all weighted. Their body's weighted, and you can lay them on you and put their arms around you, and it feels like a little hug.
There you go. They're already thinking about it. So there's stuff out there that can help you.
Heck yeah, dude. I miss those. Jordan's daughter has a weighted toy that she sleeps with every night when she's here. She tucks him right in and hugs him, and it makes her feel safe and cozy.
Well, I think that's why I like cats so much because they sit on you and create those pressures that are
Hmm.
so comforting to me.
Yeah.
And my cats sleep on me all the time, so I don't.
Yeah, everybody in Nicole's house just runs to Nicole and lays on her and
They
hugs
do.
her, and she
Rob
has
will
no
come.
choice but to touch.
I would like to touch, touch,
Touch,
touch.
touch. She's a sprinkling touch everywhere throughout the house.
I'm like, I touch you, I touch you. I don't come over my house if you want to be touched. That's all I got to say. Don't even come near me.
No, because that's the reason you go to Nicole's house.
All
That's what
right.
everybody in that house is used to. And if you don't want that, don't come over.
Well, even my clients, because like the guys I have. I noticed that they like it because I end up doing these. It's the whole thing. You customize your whatever your client needs. And I'm just now kind of being aware of this, of like some need a little more touch. So I find myself more like grooming them or
Hmm.
or or petting them in a way that doesn't, it's obviously not like petting because that would be weird, right? It's in a way that's acceptable and nobody notices it's happening, but it's just something intuitively that I'm like, oh, this is interesting that I'm doing it this way, right? But it's just that little bit that people need without it being weird or anything, like it's just natural, right? It's not about anything.
Right. Yep. Happens naturally. Same for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this episode in a world right now where touch has become such a thing that we're like not thinking about in anything but a negative way. And we need to start thinking about the actual big negatives that it's causing for us interpersonally and what it's causing for the world interpersonally and how important
Right.
it is. So I'm really thankful for
Well,
this
especially,
subject.
I would also say, especially if you're dating, I'll get off my soapbox for this. Especially if you're dating, I would say, and this is just my own opinion, is the fact that if you're dating and you do need a little bit of that touch, or if it is to a point where you're not quite ready to like go all the way and have sex with them yet, but you're in the between time, is just be really clear of your intentions. Like, okay, I'm gonna lean on you, but I don't want it to go any further. And I know I hate it that it has to be like this, that's not natural, but I think it's really important with people that are strive for touch and that touch immediately equals sex, that as women or as men or whatever we are, we can like put those boundaries in so there is no miscommunication. So that way we are clear of what we need and want in a relationship, even. Because I can tell you that if they're not willing to listen to you, then they're probably not the right ones for you in the first place, right?
Yeah, dude. 100%.
So just remember, like when you are single, to take care of those needs the best way you can for you.
Absolutely. And I'd say, don't be scared to ask for a
Right,
touch,
right.
ask for hugs, ask for,
Ask for hugs.
hey, like, don't be scared, dude. If it's something you need,
No,
especially, like I said before, give your friends and your family and your loved ones, your partner, chances to show up for you.
absolutely. If you need a hug, come see me. I'll hug you. I very good at hugging.
Good hugs. Good hugs. That's a mama hug.
That's right. If you need a hug, come see me. I will hug you. All
Yes. Well,
right. Well,
yeah.
that was it. That's all I got.
Um, okay. Next week is on Journey and or the Path. We're going to be talking through that.
Like,
Um,
like the journey.
Journey and path. I think we're going into what journey work looks like, path work looks like, how to get there, how to find it. We'll be probably talking more about it and have more information for you, obviously, in the next episode. But we're going to be going over the journey and the path and whatever that could mean for you.
I was
So,
like, oh, good, because I know nothing about this now.
we're actually going to just be talking about Nicole and I's journeys in the world and all of our path working. No.
Our tomfoolery
Our
and
tomfoolery and all of our vacations and it's gonna be a good time.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, okay, my friends, we shall see you in the next episode.
Okay, bye-bye.